You're just a janitor, Tyler. A janitor. Melissa's voice echoed through our Seattle apartment as she yanked the engagement ring off her finger and threw it at my feet. Behind her stood Derek Whitmore, all 6 feet of corporate lawyer smugness in his Brooks Brothers suit, his hand possessively on her shoulder like he'd already won something valuable. But what Melissa didn't know, what she'd never bothered to ask in our 3 years together, was that the janitorial company I owned wasn't about mopping floors. It was about cleaning up the tech industry's dirtiest problem. And in 2 years, her desperation to escape Derek's crumbling career would bring her right back to my office, resume in hand, begging for mercy she'd never shown me. That was 2 years ago. The memory still stung, but not as much as you'd think. I stood there in my maintenance uniform, navy blue coveralls with Clear-Tech Solutions embroidered on the chest, and watched her pack her bags. We'd been engaged for 8 months, together for 3 years, and she'd just discovered I wasn't the tech startup employee she thought I was. I work nights, I'd tried to explain. The uniform is. I know what the uniform means, Tyler. It means you clean toilets for a living while I'm out there building a real career. She grabbed her designer purse, the one I'd bought her for her birthday. Derek is a partner at Morrison & Associates. He drives a BMW. He has a future. Melissa, if you'd just let me explain. Explain what? That you've been lying to me for 3 years? I told everyone you worked in tech. Do you know how embarrassing this is? Derek finally spoke, his voice dripping with false sympathy. Look, man, no hard feelings. But Melissa deserves someone on her level. You understand. I understood plenty. I understood that Melissa had never actually asked what I did. She'd just made assumptions based on my work hours and the fact that I sometimes mentioned working at tech companies. I understood that Derek, who'd been circling our relationship for months, had finally found his opening. And I understood that neither of them had any idea who I actually was. Take care of yourself, Tyler, Melissa said, not even looking back as she walked out with Derek. Maybe take some night classes. Better yourself. The door closed. I stood there in my uniform, in the apartment I'd paid for, looking at the engagement ring on the floor. Then I went to work. Let me back up and explain what Clear-Tech Solutions actually is. I started the company 5 years ago after working IT at a major Seattle tech firm. I noticed something. Every company had the same problem. They'd hire expensive security teams, install sophisticated systems, but their biggest vulnerability was the people with unrestricted after-hours access, the cleaning crews. Janitors had keys to everything. Access to servers. Proximity to unlocked computers. Visibility into trash bins full of proprietary documents. And most companies hired the cheapest cleaning service they could find, with minimal background checks and zero tech literacy. I saw an opportunity. Clear-Tech Solutions provided janitorial services, yes, but with a twist. Every employee was background checked, tech certified, and trained in data security. We signed NDAs, underwent security clearance, and charged premium rates. Our pitch was simple. We don't just clean your offices. We protect them. Tech companies ate it up. Within 2 years, I had contracts with Microsoft, Amazon, and dozens of startups. By year 3, I'd expanded to San Francisco and Portland. Revenue hit $15 million annually. But here's the thing, I still worked the floors. Not because I had to, but because I needed to understand the work. I'd spend nights cleaning offices, learning the layouts, identifying security gaps. It kept me grounded and gave me insights my competitors couldn't match. When I met Melissa at a coffee shop 3 years ago, I was wearing civilian clothes, exhausted from a night shift. She asked what I did, and I said, I work in tech, mostly at night. Not a lie, just incomplete. She assumed I was a programmer or IT specialist. I never corrected her because honestly it was refreshing. Every woman I'd dated after starting Clear-Tech had either been intimidated by my success or opportunistic about my money. Melissa liked me for me, or so I thought. We dated, fell in love, got engaged. I planned to tell her everything after the wedding. Show her the business, the bank accounts, the future I was building. Then she met Derek at a networking event and decided a lawyer was more impressive than a guy who wore coveralls to work. After she left, I threw myself into growing Clear-Tech. Landed a massive contract with a gaming company. Expanded to Austin and Denver. Started a tech consulting division. Revenue hit $40 million. I also started dating again, carefully, honestly, upfront about what I did and what I'd built. Turned out, confident women who'd built their own careers weren't intimidated by success. They celebrated it. I was seeing someone casually, nothing serious but nice, when my HR director, Patricia, called me into her office. "We've got a strong candidate for the marketing director position," she said. "Impressive resume. I want you to sit in on the final interview." "Sure. Who is it?" She handed me the resume. I nearly dropped it. Melissa Hartwell. Bachelor's in Communications. 5 years of marketing experience. Previously worked at. I scanned down and found it. Morrison and Associates, marketing coordinator. "You know her?" Patricia asked, reading my face. "I did. A while ago." "Want me to have someone else handle it?" I thought about it. The professional move was to recuse myself. The petty move was to conduct the interview myself. But there was a third option: be completely fair, utterly professional, and see who she'd become. "I'll do it," I said. "Schedule her for tomorrow at 2 p.m. The next day, I dressed in my usual office attire, tailored suit, no tie, just professional enough. My office occupied the top floor of our downtown Seattle headquarters, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Puget Sound. At 1:55 p.m., Patricia buzzed. "Melissa Hartwell is here. Send her in." I turned my chair to face the window, giving myself a moment to breathe. 2 years. She'd made her choice. I'd made mine. This was just business. The door opened. I heard heels on hardwood, then complete silence. I turned around slowly. Melissa stood frozen in the doorway, her face cycling through shock, confusion, and dawning horror. She looked different, thinner, more polished, but there was something brittle about her now. The confidence she'd had when she left me was gone, replaced by something that looked like desperation. "Hello, Melissa," I said calmly. "Please have a seat." She didn't move. "Tyler?" "That's right. Tyler Morrison, CEO and founder of ClearTech Solutions." I gestured to the chair across from my desk. "You're here to interview for our marketing director position. Shall we begin?" I don't understand." She finally moved, but she didn't sit. Just stood there, gripping her portfolio like a life preserver. "What's confusing? You applied for a job. I'm conducting the interview." I opened her resume on my tablet. "You've been at Morrison and Associates for 2 years. Derek's firm, correct?" Her face flushed. "Yes. Interesting career move, going from law firm marketing to tech. What prompted the change?" She finally sat, her composure cracking. "Tyler, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know this was your company." "Why would you?" "ClearTech Solutions. It's not like the name gives anything away." I kept my voice neutral, professional. "Let's focus on the interview. Your resume shows you've been with Morrison and Associates since." I checked the date. "Since about the time you left me. How has that been?" "Please don't do this," she whispered. "Do what? Conduct a job interview?" "You applied here, Melissa. You submitted your resume, passed the initial screening, and impressed our HR director enough to warrant a final interview with the CEO." "That's me." Tears welled in her eyes. "The firm is downsizing. Derek's partnership is. There have been problems. I need this job." There it was. The truth bleeding through the cracks. "What kind of problems?" I asked. She looked down. "He made some bad investments. Used firm money. He's being investigated. I've been job hunting for 3 months, and this is my first real interview." "I see." I made a note on my tablet. "And how do you think you'd fit into ClearTech's culture?" "We value integrity, transparency, and treating all employees with respect regardless of their position. Do those values align with yours?" The question hit home. She flinched. "Tyler, I was wrong. About everything. I should have asked more questions. Should have trusted you. I just saw the uniform and assumed. That I was lesser than you," I finished. "That a janitor wasn't worthy of someone building a real career." "Your words, Melissa." "I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." I leaned back in my chair, studying her. 2 years ago, she'd looked at me with contempt. Now she couldn't meet my eyes. "Tell me about your marketing strategy," I said, changing topics. "How would you position ClearTech's services to potential clients?" She blinked, surprised by the pivot back to business. I'd emphasize the security angle. Tech companies are paranoid about data breaches. Positioning janitorial services as a security feature rather than a commodity service, that's smart. "It is smart. That's been our pitch for 5 years. What would you add?" She thought for a moment, and I saw a flash of the woman I'd fallen in love with. Intelligent, creative, quick thinking. "Case studies. Show real-world examples of security breaches that happen through cleaning staff at other companies." Make it visceral. Then present clear tech as the solution. Interesting. Go on. For the next 20 minutes, we discussed marketing strategy, client acquisition, and brand positioning. She was good, really good. Her ideas were sharp, innovative, exactly what we needed, which made this so much harder. When we finished, I closed my tablet. Thank you for your time, Melissa. Patricia will be in touch about next steps. Tyler, wait. She stood up quickly. Can we talk? Not as CEO and candidate. Just as people who used to mean something to each other. I shouldn't have agreed. But curiosity got the better of me. 5 minutes. She sat back down, choosing her words carefully. I've had 2 years to think about what I did. How I treated you. It's eaten me alive. Has it? I couldn't keep the skepticism out of my voice. Derek and I broke up 6 months after I left you. He was controlling, arrogant, constantly putting me down. Everything I thought made him successful was just toxic masculinity and borrowed money. She laughed bitterly. Turns out the BMW was leased, and the partnership was contingent on him bringing in clients he couldn't deliver. He's probably going to be disbarred. I'm sorry that happened to you. Are you? Really? I considered the question. I'm sorry that you suffered. I'm not sorry that you learned who he really was. I learned who I really was too. Or who I'd become. Shallow. Status-obsessed. Cruel to someone who loved me. She wiped her eyes. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve this job. But I need you to know that I've spent 2 years regretting the worst decision of my life. The thing is, I believed her. I could see the genuine remorse, the growth, the regret. She'd suffered and learned from it. But that didn't change what she'd done. Melissa, 2 years ago you looked at me in my work uniform and decided I wasn't enough. You didn't ask questions. Didn't give me a chance to explain. You just assumed that someone who worked nights as a janitor couldn't possibly be worthy of you. I know. Let me finish. What you didn't know is that every person working for Clear Tech, from our night crews to our executive team, gets the same respect, the same benefits, the same dignity. Because I've been there. I've worn the uniform. I know what it's like to be dismissed because of what people see on the surface. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at Seattle's skyline. I built this company on the principle that everyone's work has value. That security starts with treating people well. That you can't have integrity in your business without having integrity in how you treat the people who do the hardest jobs. I turned back to her. You judged me for doing exactly what I do now, protecting companies by understanding every level of their operation. The only difference was the audience. When you thought I was just a janitor, I wasn't enough. Now that you know I'm the CEO, suddenly I'm worth your apology. That's not fair, isn't it? If I were still working nights, would you be here apologizing? Or would you still think you dodged a bullet? She couldn't answer, because we both knew the truth. I walked back to my desk. You're a talented marketer, Melissa. Your ideas today were excellent. You'd be an asset to any company. Hope flickered in her eyes. But I can't hire you, I continued. Not because I'm bitter or vengeful. Because culture fit matters. And someone who judges people based on their job title doesn't fit here. That's the kind of thinking we work every day to overcome. Her face crumpled. Tyler, please. I've changed. I can prove it. Maybe you have changed. I hope you have. But I can't take that risk with my team. They need to know their CEO has their backs. That means not hiring someone who might look down on our night crews because they wear coveralls instead of suits. I pressed the intercom. Patricia, Ms. Hartwell's interview is complete. Can you show her out? Tyler, Melissa said desperately. What am I supposed to do? I softened slightly. Keep growing. Keep learning. Find a company where you can prove you've changed. But it can't be here. Patricia appeared in the doorway. Melissa stood slowly, defeated. At the door, she turned back. For what it's worth, I really am sorry. And I'm proud of what you've built. You deserved better than how I treated you. I did, I agreed. And I found it. I hope you do too. She left, and I stood at my window watching the city below. My phone buzzed, a text from my girlfriend asking about dinner plans. I smiled and texted back. Melissa had taught me a valuable lesson. That the right person doesn't just love who you are, they respect what you do and why you do it. They don't need you to be anything other than yourself. And they definitely don't need a corner office to see your worth.